guys and gals, welcome to the Oxford Holy Club, a place where we ready ourselves to give an answer for the hope that's in us. We will also try to answer your questions, random questions from the interwebs, and have some fun too. So put some seatbelts on your ears because we're in for a wild ride. Well, hello, Oxford Holy Club. Welcome to the show, episode 154, entitled Creation Truths in Elementary School. My name is Brad Siliger. I am one half of your host tonight and joined by Lucas Candy. Hey, Lucas, how are you?
I'm doing the very best.
Fantastic. We are down a host tonight.
Yeah, this tricycle has become a bicycle.
I've never heard it put quite like that.
So elegantly.
So elegantly. Yeah. So Andrew shot us a message just before it was time to go, and it sounds like they might be having some issues getting a kid to bed, or maybe there's a kid that's sickly. There was no context. It was basically let me read it. It was having some kid troubles. Gonna be a game time decision.
Well, the decision done been made.
It's been made. The kid wins. You know what? Kids always win. Hey,
kids
Mom.
Always win.
Thanks for the heart. Nice to see you here tonight. So, Lucas.
Sonia, don't the kids always win?
Yeah, the kids always win. Only child right here.
That's right. The kid always wins.
The kid always wins. No. Well, anyway, tonight, you know what? We're going to do a little bit of catching up. We're going to talk about some elementary school. Lucas, looking forward to that. I had to really dig deep. I had to go back in time for that one.
I don't want to make it a hard one. I thought that'd be kind of a fun one.
Yeah. And you know what? Why don't we take the evening as it comes here tonight? Maybe
exactly.
Maybe we'll save some stuff when we have Andrew for some other conversation, or we could just go. You should invite your mother to join the broadcast. Thank you, Pastor Dave, for that. All right, Mom.
Something to keep in mind for next Mother's Day.
Oh, there we go. Let's get all our mothers. Let's not tell them. Let's get all our mothers together, set them in front of the computer, turn the podcast on, and just let them go.
Well, there is actually quite another podcasting vlogging duo who I've seen a couple episodes where they quiz their moms on stuff, and it's pretty funny. I'm sure we could come up with something.
Do their names rhyme with Brett and Pink?
Brett and Blink? Yeah, they sure do.
Brett and Blink? Yeah, that was funny. I've seen that. Well, Lucas, listen, I'm going to take over Andrew's spot. It's not that difficult. Let me just say this. If you are watching and do enjoy the podcast, we would really appreciate it if you would click like on this post. But just to let us know that you're here, that you're enjoying it. That is a big stinking coffee.
Well, it's actually a Bubba keg, and this will never have coffee in it. I'm pretty sure it'll never have a hot drink in it because nobody needs that much of anything except for pure, clean ice water. When we went to Cuba, Melissa's sister and her husband like, hey, listen, you can take our Bubba kegs with you. I was like, thanks, I guess. Like, okay, sure. Anyway, it was the best because you go down to the beach and you just go to them and say like, fill this with water or like ice water, or fill it with like lemonade or whatever, and they'll fill it so you can sit there on the hot beach and not have to keep going up for water. This thing keeps them nice and chilly. I love it. So this is gonna be and I saw one at somewhere and I picked it up, and this is gonna be my summer friend, I believe.
Well, do you remember where you picked it up at? Or are you just?
Yeah, I do. Frenchies. I actually bought Melissa one too, but it was like a smaller one, and then later on, I saw your big boy right here, so I got myself a big boy. You probably wouldn't drink out of something from Frenchies, would you?
I would not. If anybody follows Lucas on Facebook, though, let me just say this about Lucas and Frenchies. If you look on,
oh no, not Frenchies. Sorry, Value Village.
Oh, never mind. But let me tell you about Lucas and Frenchies. When I first moved to Moncton and moved in with Lucas and Nick and Matt, we would go to Frenchies a lot, and Lucas was the man at Frenchies, and that is definitely spilled over into Value Village and anything with the word thrift on it. Anyway, a little bit ago, Lucas posted a bunch of pictures from the 2000s. Of fashion and all that, and I commented on a shirt that I was wearing. It's been my favorite shirt. It's moved with me. It's gone. It's The only reason I don't have it is because I outgrew it.
You wore it out.
I literally wore it out. But you got that shirt at Frenchie's. You went and got it. Was
I did.
It was a that donut spot.
Can you do it?
I can get there.
Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme. It was a Krispy Kreme shirt, and that was by far my favorite shirt. Anyway, man, I wish I could go back and get that shirt. I don't know.
It's so funny because I remember it's funny. Also funny, I haven't probably bought used clothing in like a decade, and I don't know why. I just haven't had a chance to, I guess, and just not something I buy all my clothes at Costco now because I'm an old man. Anyway, but I remember seeing it and be like, oh, this is awesome. But as I held it up, I was like, there is zero chance this will ever fit me. But I'm like, it's too good not to buy. So I bought it and I gave it to Brad, and I thought he'd be like, oh, thanks, like maybe. But then he like loved that shirt, and it's the best purchase I've ever made of clothing, and it wasn't even clothing for me.
Yeah. So there you go. Speaking of clothing, Pastor Dave is watching right now. I think you should take a like stand up a little bit or a big old lean back or something and rep that shirt.
Look at that.
We were catching up. Lucas and I were catching up just before the podcast, and I noticed that he was wearing this Eastern Nazarene college shirt, which might not mean anything to anybody, except that Lucas did not grow up in the Nazarene church or anything like that. So didn't
know it existed until 3 days before I got it.
So how did you come by that shirt? What's the story behind that shirt?
Well, I don't know how long ago it was. I feel like 3 years ago, which means it was probably 6 years ago, as my general rule of thumb. And Brad was talking about, we were probably playing video games, and you're talking about going to this conference, and it somehow came up. You were like, hey, it's over March break. I'm going to this Nazarene thing, like where we learn what the secret handshake is for the year and all that stuff.
That was top of the agenda.
Yeah. And anyway, and then you're like, hey, you should come with me, like, because you said, like, I'm driving there, like, cars paid for, rooms paid for, like, you just have to pay for your food. I was like, and I was like, interesting. And I was like, well, technically I am on March break, so I could go. So then I somehow went to my wife with 2 small children at the time. I was like, hey, can I just like take off for like half a March break? The March break, you were probably super excited to hang out with me and our children. Okay, Melissa must have been on maternity leave because otherwise she wouldn't have had the week off.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm just gonna, buzz off here. And she said yes. And anyway, it was super fun. Like, we drove down and had a good day. And like, you had set up this whole gaming rig in our hotel room. You had like all kinds of like doodads to make it work good. And then so you'd leave for like the whole conference. I'm like sitting there playing video games, my glory, and you'd come home and we'd basically just play more video games. And by home, I mean our hotel room. It was like a home, because it's where my heart was. Anyway, but I met the Nazarene Pope. I met a few other. Well, you're just telling me like, oh, this is so-and-so, the superintendent, whatever the person's title was. I'm like, is that like the Nazarene Pope? And you're like, sure, it's the closest thing we have to a Pope in the area.
You would have
met I called him the Nazarene Pope.
You would have met the Nazarene Youth Pope at that.
The Nazarene Youth Pope.
So the shirt was free then, is what Dwight's.
The longest, yes. So at the end, they're giving out these shirts of like free souvenirs. So, and I got one for me, then I doubled back and got another free one for Melissa, and she actually still has it like in the rotation.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, good shirt, good times.
I'm not sure if you noticed, but we have 6. Oh, Pastor Dave, we have 6 popes.
We have 6 popes. Really cardinals at that point, if you're only get real specific.
And also Pastor Dave graduated from ENC in 1988. I was 4 years old.
They love hearing that. It was a beautiful campus. Like I had never heard of it obviously before, but like beautiful campus, cool spot.
Do you remember when we were, because on the campus there's a church called, do you remember? I do. You remember what the church was? Because you went on. I'll
remember it.
You got on Twitter and you messaged them on Twitter about us going there and checking out their church. The pastor at the time.
What an influencer I was back in the day.
Oh my goodness. The pastor at the time, his name was Stretch Dean.
That's a cool name.
That is a cool name. Cool guy. Do you remember Wooly? Well, I just gave it away. Wooly Naz.
Oh, Wooly Naz. That's right. Wooly Naz.
And I think their logo was like a woolly mammoth, if I'm not mistaken.
That's some
that's
some spicy branding right there.
That's good marketing. Good marketing. Oh, dear. Dwight, nice to have you with us. Glad you're here. Pastor, nice to see that you're here. Mom, who else is here? I see that there's 8 people. Lucas and I have got to be at least 2 of them. Are you watching?
Me? Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, then all right. I'm not. So let's see. Who else is here? Talk to us. Let us know that you're here. Dwight, how are things? What's going on with you, my man? How are things where you're at? All right.
We gotta wait for the lag.
So Lucas, let's. Oh wait, I had started to. We got onto all that because you took a sip of water.
I knew, and it's funny. As I had, I was like,
"Hey,
I
Monica,
don't need to bring this up. I'm pretty sure it'll get brought up as I drink out of it."
It's so good to see you, Monica. Thanks for being here, Dwight. He's got. I've got 3 computers on simultaneously. Wesleyan number padding. Gotta get those numbers up. Yep. Thanks. Get that view count going.
Yep.
All right. Well, Bethany Bible College. So if you're watching, thank you for liking, and you really could partner with us in spreading this podcast if you would click the share and put it out on your Facebook wall. Doesn't force anybody to watch it, although it is risky because it does demonstrate your support, at least of us.
You'll have questions to answer. That's all we have to say.
Yeah, some people will ask, "What is this?" Anyway, Lucas, why don't we? We've been talking. Why don't we just make it official and work our way in? Make it a segment, perhaps called the Catch Up. And
yes.
So a week has come and gone. What's been going on with you? There's been a lot that's happened in my life, but I'd like to hear about you.
Let's see. I'll go through them. I have a few things. None of them are particularly interesting, so I'll keep it brief. Fredericton's been going through quite the heat wave. I think all of New Brunswick has, but I feel like Fredericton,
PEI as well.
Fredericton, I always get the sense is hotter than a lot of places in New Brunswick because we don't have the ocean near us.
Krista.
So we were over 40 degrees with the Humidex this week, 2 days in a row. So that was a little wild. Anyway, the nice thing is our pool, which we only filled like a week ago and was like 50 degrees, is now 78 degrees, which is pretty good for an unheated pool. Actually, Melissa is currently.
Why are you speaking in Fahrenheit?
It's funny. I always measure pools in Fahrenheit. I couldn't tell you what it was in Celsius. I'll convert later. Anyhow, but yeah, so that's been up and running and quite the hit, of course. So that's good. Montreal Canadiens, as I said last week, our whole family, well, me and the oldest and Melissa, I've been watching it pretty good. Watching almost every game, I'd say, and they swept the Winnipeg Jets in 4 games, which did not work out well for the Jets because they swept in 4 games and they were all rusty and they lost to the Habs. So anyway, that's been exciting for our family. It's kind of a fun little like family thing that we get to do together. So I've been enjoying that. And then something I have upcoming, which I might have to touch on the next time we do a catch up, is I'm going to be going on an overnight grad trip event with the FCA grads. So it might be one of those, I'm getting too old for these shenanigans scenarios by the end of it. We'll have to see. But we're going to Hampton Bible Camp and we're going to be just chill playing paintball.
Whoa, Hampton Bible Camp?
Hampton Bible Camp. Yes. One of our teachers has all the ins and got us booked in there. We're still paying and everything. Don't worry, Hampton Bible Camp. But she's got a key. We can sneak right in. So that'll be fun. They're super chill grad groups. So they'll have fun just hanging out. But my only concern is I will be sleeping in the cabin. Like we have a guy cabin and a girl cabin, the chaperones and all the kids. So before when I've gone on overnighters, like when we did the houseboat, I had my own room. So I like close the door and, Mr. Candy's out. See you in the morning. But this one, I'm worried it's going to get to the point where I just like lose my composure. I'm like, it's quiet time now. I need some sleep because I sort of need my sleep and I kind of don't, but I think compared to high school boys, I'm going to need my sleep more than they do.
Well, you have to function the next morning dealing with them. So
that is also true.
Right.
And I have volunteered to get up and cook breakfast. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. You got double duty. Not only do you have to take care of those boys, but you've got to feed them as well.
Yes.
Oh, Lucas.
Technically, I'm feeding the girls as well, but yes, I'm feeding them all. So that should be fun. We'll see if I have any humorous anecdotes when I get back.
Well, hold on,
but Brad. How about you?
No. Let's get back to you. There's a few things. I think you mentioned sports, but unless it was either me or some kind of issue when you were talking sports, all I heard was.
Oh, I said playing paintball and some sports and stuff like that while we're there. So
no, I meant with the hockey teams. We're not seeing a whole lot in here. Mark Corkum is asking if your dad's been watching.
I don't know if either of my has my dad been watching hockey? Yes, he definitely was watching it up until well, the moment no Leafs fans were watching hockey anymore.
Were you about to confess that your parents don't watch the podcast? Was
Yeah, I
that
was
where
about
this was
to say
headed?
that. That was where that was headed. Yeah.
Do they even
I
know?
don't think this is for them. That's okay.
Do they know about the podcast? Have you talked to them?
Oh yeah, they know about it. It's not for them.
It's
It's not for them. We're not for everyone.
Mark, it's nice
We're
to
like
see you.
we're like the Bubba Keg of entertainment. You know, we're not for everyone. We certainly don't look good, but we have our charms. I'm waxing nostalgic. Sorry, continue. What have you been up to?
Oh my
Brad?
Oh my word. Leaf fans are convinced we're now in the tribulation again.
Love
Dear. I'm sad for Leaf fans a little bit. It was looking I don't follow sports at all. If there was a team that my family, like my dad, I think my grandfather and my father were both Leaf fans. And so I just became kind of guilty by association. And then my son has a Toronto Maple Leafs poster in his room, but that I'm pretty sure he got from Pastor Dave.
Okay.
And so I don't know if Jaden is kind of, if it's rubbing off on him too, that's the team if there was a team. Anyway,
Yeah.
It would be cool, I think, for the Toronto Maple Leafs to win just because it's been so long. At the end of the day, I couldn't, and forgive me, couldn't care less.
It's fair.
But anyway, I don't know where this was going. I feel for the Toronto Maple Leaf fans because they keep wanting it, and it starts.
Well, I talked last week about when I was wearing my Habs jersey, and the Leafs fan, like the Habs fans, like, hey, how's it going? And the Leafs fans, the dads would stop, roll down the window, and just tell me how heartbroken they were. Like I did feel legitimate like sadness for them instead of being like, haha, you lost. It's like they're like, I've been betrayed for the last time. So it is tough for them.
Yeah. So all right. So on the weekend, what did we do? We were gonna go up on Friday up to the camper and start doing like the big clean, as you know, like we got the camper out and that was fun.
Get all the snakes out of it.
Yeah, get all the snakes out. How'd all these snakes get in this camper? Anyway, we were gonna get the snakes out. We are gonna clean the mouse turd, all that kind of stuff, and
snake turd.
Yeah. And Mandy had got a bunch of click floor for free, and like enough to do the whole camper. So the conversation is, we could clean it up and then let's start doing some measurements and figure it out. But probably not going to do the click floor. Number one, I don't have a table saw or even just a chop saw. Number two, number one was enough. And anyway, so then, but our COVID shots were Friday around supper time. And so Mandy, oh my goodness. So Mandy and I went and got our COVID shots, and I gotta like, my hat is off, figuratively speaking. My hair is a mess. My hat is off to our provincial government and our medical staff and everything. Like you guys are doing fantastic. I know that not everybody agrees, and you're getting all kinds of opinions, but just so you know, I think I think you're doing a great job, and really appreciate it. So anyway, we went through the process and got in very quickly. Get registered, waited. Actually, we didn't even have to wait because we had an appointment. We got right in and got our shots within 5 minutes of getting there, and then they ask you to wait 15 minutes. So they had a seating area, and we're all sitting there. And you can still see everybody that's getting their shots, and all of a sudden, and so we're in an arena, right? We're in the Eastlink Center or whatever. I think that's what it's called. So it's an arena, so it's cement floor, and all of a sudden there's this crash, and two seats ahead of me, a guy passed out waiting, it's just head smashed onto the floor.
Oh wow!
Fortunately for him, if there was ever a place to pass out, it's there.
It's a good spot.
Well, doctors,
cement floor notwithstanding.
Yeah, but like
into a ball pit would have been better.
Doctors everywhere from all over came and like were checking him out and all this kind of stuff, and he was fine. And then all of a sudden the staff really upped their game and like had bottles of water in their hands, and they're going out. Anybody hot? Anybody hot? Anybody hot? And they're handing out
splash
water.
People with a hose.
Yeah. So anyway, but because our COVID shot was like, around supper time, we figured, well, let's not travel up west because that by the time we get there, it's just going to be late. We're not going to get anything accomplished except getting there.
Mhm.
So we'll go up Saturday. So Saturday we go up to the camper, and both kids were able to. Harmony brought a friend, and Jaden connected with his cousin who lives up there, and so they were playing on the beach, and Mandy and I did the clean. I am convinced that this pile of click floor that I have is only going to be something. You ever like move a pile of dirt from one side of the room to another?
You just keep moving it all the time. But Brad, it was free.
I'm really getting the sense that this thing is going to be just a pile of click floor that I move and move until I finally move it into someone else's vehicle.
Until I die.
Yeah. So when we took
Sweet
it there,
release of death.
we set it on the bed because we were just trying to get it out and needed a place to put it that's out of the way. But now we were coming to get the sheets to go wash them. Well, a bunch of our sheets are on the bed and the click floor is there. So now the click floor is in a storage space under, like the outside storage space. It all fit in there except for one piece that was just too long. So that's there. So we do the big clean and all that, and the kids are playing, and we're able to connect with Mom and my Aunt Sharon, and we all have supper together, and all that's great. We did not tackle the click floor other than to move it, and I'm convinced more than ever that click floor is not going to be the answer. Number one, it's thicker, and the slide, we can't put it where the slide would come in.
Oh, yeah.
So then you're looking at doing sections of the space. So like the bunk room, your bedroom, the entryway, but because the click floor is, like this much thicker off the ground, well, then you're creating this little tiny step up and then a little tiny step down, and it just makes the floor uneven. And so I'm not about that life,
No.
That's not beach life for me. So
no, toast oven 24/7. I don't think so.
That's right. So now we're looking. I don't know. I'm trying to convince Mandy that we need to look into like that stick-on floor stuff and just redo
the squares.
Yes. Yeah, and just redo the floor.
More like sand and water friendly and stuff too. Oh yeah, man.
Right. So that's where we're at. So let's see. So we're enjoying the day, and if you're okay with it, Lucas, I would like to save the s'more for next week. Are you okay with that? Because
I'm cool with that.
This story is going to inform next week's s'more.
Okay.
So they really did roll together, and in fact, this scripture was the scripture we used on Sunday here, and it's
nice.
It was talking about praise, but I'd love for all three of us to be able to have the conversation around praise. Right. Not that you and I can't have a serious conversation. My goodness, that's what we did for how many episodes before?
That's right.
So anyway, so the kids wanted to go for a walk up the beach, go check out the park, and that's all great. I'm like, yeah, I'll take them. And Mandy goes, if you'll take them, I'll do the rest of the cleanup and put that click floor up for sale. You might make enough for a Montreal Canadiens poster for your son. I'll burn that click floor before I put up a Montreal Canadiens poster.
He's probably just going to go for a Minecraft poster, would he not?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Absolutely. So, all right, this story's taken a long time. So I take the kids for a walk, and Mandy's doing the wrap up of cleaning, and that's great. Mm-hmm. We'll come back, we'll get everybody loaded up, and we'll head back to Charlottetown. That's the plan. So now I'm not going to go into. Well, no, okay, yeah. So we're walking, and the sun just breaks through the clouds, and like the lights scattering. And if you're in church on Sunday, you've already heard this, so I apologize. I know Krista's watching, Pastor's watching, and all that. But thank you, Pastor. My job is secured because of my comment. Anyway, so we're walking along the beach, and Harmony and her friend Addison are up ahead, and they're walking, and all of a sudden they turn and look over the water. The water's on our right, and they turn and look over the water, and Jaden and his cousin Skylar are trailing behind. And so I look, and the light is breaking through the clouds and scattering across the water. And so on the water, I know I told this in church, Mom. Oh, my soul. The light is scattering across the water, and at the horizon where the water meets the sky type of thing, it's like this just crazy bright white, shimmering light. And Harmony or Addison, no, when Harmony says that looks like heaven. And so the scripture from Psalm 148 is all about, creation and it praising and how it brings praise to God. And so we had this really cool moment with Harmony and Addison and myself talking about they were like, wouldn't it be cool if God was like right there right now? And he was waving at us type of thing. And it was, yeah, Dwight, I see your message. And I thought, this is so cool that just light scattering down brought them to thinking about and talking about God together. I didn't create that. I didn't force that. They came to that, and I got to jump in on the conversation a little bit. Yeah, well, I corrected some theology first off. No, I'm just teasing. So anyway, we go and we have our walk, and my cell phone lost signal during this whole thing because of just where we were. Yeah. I'm so happy with chat right now. Dwight, it was a hallucination from your vaccination. I'm pretty sure the reason I lost my cell signal was interference with the chip in my arm.
That's right.
So what I missed while out on this walk with the kids was my wife calling. And I don't know if I can play the message for you. Pastor told me I needed to make sure I saved it. Let me just double check.
Brad is now looking through his phone, trying to find the message from his wife. For those of you wondering, here we go.
Okay, well, I could play it, but I might get in trouble if I play it, so I'll just read I'll read the transcript.
Is there a transcript?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can you see that?
I can't read it. You read it for us in your best Mandy voice.
Sure. You got it. Okay.
Hi, Brad. Can you call me? I did something really stupid. Bye.
Not a lot of details there. Not a lot of details.
Not a lot of details. Oh, Pastor, I can't dig up. Yeah, you're not kidding. So anyway, I didn't get that message until after. So we're walking back, and what do I see on the beach? My van.
No. And the tide's coming in rapidly?
Yeah, the tide at that point in the evening, the tide was in as far as it was going to go in, so we were safe there. That was my
drama.
That was my first thought. Yeah, there's a literal ticking time or clock. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway,
ticking tide.
Let me just come to her defense first.
Okay.
Where she drove down on the beach, there were tracks, and she had seen another vehicle earlier driving across the beach. And so she had cleaned everything up and decided that she wanted to just go double check the beach, make sure all the kids' stuff was off the beach. And she thought, I'll just drive down. Well, the sand by the water where this vehicle was driving is a whole lot more firm than back further. And the long story short is she got the van stuck in the sand. We had a van in the sand. Thus began the digging, and every kid contributed. And I found driftwood that we got underneath the tires, and 5 of us, the 2 kids beside me and myself in the middle, and Mandy driving, got that thing in reverse and got it back probably 6 feet.
Wait a second. I don't know what I think about the person who got the van stuck being the one behind the wheel, not the pusher. I don't know what I think about that. But anyway, sorry.
Well, I
guess she was one of the only people who could drive it. So.
Right. I wasn't going to put one of the kids behind the wheel.
True.
Anyway, much longer story and a lot more digging short. We get about 6 feet back, and eventually it wasn't going anywhere. So we were able to get towed. Jimmy Stewart. So Jimmy, if somehow you're watching this, again, thank you so much. We called Mom and called Dad, and they started putting things in place, and Mom was able to make the connection with Jimmy Stewart. And when I called Dad back, he was getting in the truck and was going to get chains. And Anyway, and it was funny because Jimmy, when he got there, I was thanking him and all that, and he was getting stuff, and he goes, "I'm just glad you're not drunk." And I'm like, wow, that's the bar that's set.
It's low bar. It's Larry Stewart, dear. Larry Stewart.
Larry, what did I say?
I'm not sure. Wasn't the right one though. Jimmy.
No,
Jimmy
I said
Stewart was a
Jimmy.
famous actor.
Yeah.
I believe he did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Are you talking about an actual
Famous from
event,
the-
or is this an allegory for the Toronto Maple Leafs? No, these things really happened. Hey, Mandy, listen, I came to your defense, so we're just talking about it.
He did come to your defense. After throwing you under the bus, he then pulled you back out from under the bus.
So that was okay. I'm gonna save it for the smorp, but let me just say this: make sure you come back next week because we're gonna look at a smorp that speaks about creation, giving praise to God, and how we can partner in with that, and how I ignored all that in that moment and was just super angry.
It wasn't about the wise man building his house upon the rock, not the foolish man building his house upon the sand.
It's so funny. I thought about that scripture later. Oh dear.
It's all good.
It's all good. So okay. So anyway, so we get the vaccination. We did the beach thing and got back late, and that was fine. And then so here's a really cool thing that just happened, and unfortunately it's surrounded by tragedy. But I'm always amazed, and Pastor and I talk a lot about this, how there's this dichotomy that takes place, and how God is present and creating these opportunities in such tragic events. And Lucas, I know that you know about the events in Kamloops and the 215 bodies that were found, and so the First Nation community here in Scotchford actually put 215 crosses out in their field and put shoes for each kid on each one of those and little lights on them all, and has been holding ceremonies.
Vigil?
Well, ceremonies each night, and so Pastor Dave and Pastor Nadine have had a relationship with the chief and their family for quite some time, and so they had been going out. And anyway, we actually had the chief come on Sunday and share with our church about it and their perspective, and the biggest thing was really about just don't, something that he said to me was so huge. He said the reason they did it was, a tragedy like this comes up on a Friday or whatever day it was, but then if no one says something or does something, the next day something's out again and everyone's focused on that, and you totally forget about this. And so they wanted to do something so that people couldn't just forget and couldn't just move on, and could actually remember these kids. And so it was so Sunday night, Mandy and myself and the kids and Pastor Dave and the dean, there was I think 6 of our pastors, if I remember correctly, Pastor Ann and her kids, we all went out and joined in together, and it was just an amazing time. They the chief and a few others, as they were going about their ceremonies, they would actually explain what they were doing and why, and how they were honoring these kids and mothers and all this stuff. It was extremely impactful. When we pulled up, Pastor Dave and I were driving together. That's a whole other story. But Pastor Dave and I drove in, and you just sit. We parked in front of all these crosses. 215 crosses of kids that just will never could grow up. It's very sad and very impactful.
Yeah.
So around the fire, Pastor Dave and I were talking about this today. They had, and the chief explained, they had shoes around the fire that were representing each of the different nationalities, I think is what is the word he used, or something like that. And what we both picked up on was that the colors of the shoes were red and yellow, black and white. Lucas, there are so many Christian overtones, and Jesus is doing something in our First Nation community out there through this tragedy. I don't even have words to describe it. Other than, for my own kids, it created an opportunity for us to talk about what happened and why these kids what happened to these kids, and how important it is that we love one another and not allow pride to tell us that we're better than someone else, and that you know what I'm saying? Like, it's created another opportunity, and it brought me back to when we took the kids to Cuba and how we had that conversation, because really that was the first time that our kids had much like a different language, a different culture, a different skin color, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And to expose them to that, and for them to begin to understand, like, hey, these people are cool. They're just like me, and they love Jesus, and I love Jesus, and we can have fun. And I don't know what I'm trying to say other than when I think about God's love, I think about unity. And I'm beginning to see that where the world wants to divide us and separate us and segregate us, Christ wants to bring unity and restoration and reconciliation. And to begin to see that taking place is amazing. So I'm really excited for the days ahead. And it's hard to put it into words. It was a very significant moment for me. And they've had these things been happening every night. And I know Pastor Dave and the dean have been going out. And I think tonight was the closing ceremony, and they were there for that. Very significant. And God has taken this tragedy and is using it to bring reconciliation and restoration. And to me, that's just phenomenal.
That's excellent.
It is. We would never wish the tragedy, right? But how God can take that, mess and use it is, only God can do that. I certainly couldn't.
Right.
So I think I think, Lucas, that's what's been up with me. On a total aside, I think I mentioned last week, I downloaded an app where I'm, did I talk about it? Where I'm tracking my calories? Like, I'm aggressively tracking what I'm eating now and the calories.
Well, I assume with your little scale and all that stuff, right?
It is discouraging.
I can only assume.
Like,
problem is the problem is with fitness stuff is the first bit is like there's, it takes a lot less to get a lot more reaction. And then the higher up you go, or the lower down you go, I guess, like, you need to do more and more to be able to move the needle at all. You know what I mean?
I do. Well,
who am I telling you how this works? Brad, as an armchair weight loss person, let me tell you how this works.
Like, I've got it set up so it tells me how many calories I should have in the day. And that is set up for a lightly active. I set it specifically for a light active person. Because I'm like, I only go to the gym for probably an hour a day. I get a walk in besides that a day.
I don't think that counts as light active, by the way. Well, I feel like an hour at the gym is pretty good.
See, I really don't know. And so it still gives me like 2,300 calories to eat just to maintain. You're flying too close to the sun, Icarus. So, but like, if I get a walk in or something like that, then it calculates that, and I can, so for instance, I got 2,300. Well, I've eaten 2,600 calories today. But because of the exercise, I still have 50 some calories that I could eat.
Bring it down.
But 50 some calories is not much.
No.
And so I'm in the place right now where it's like, I've got to really pick and choose. Like, I have a specific goal in mind that I'm not going to talk about on the podcast, but like, there's something that I'm working towards specifically in terms of just my body and fitness and all that. If I wasn't doing that, I could maintain my weight with higher calories because of my activity level.
Right.
It's just like for supper, because I middle of the day was like, I'm so hungry, and I had like a big bowl of cereal, and that blew through so many stinking calories. For supper, I had a smoothie with a little bit of strawberries in it. May's like, you have to eat. I'm like, I am. Anyway,
it sounds fun for you. It sounds so fun.
Well, today was a disaster. I'm okay, but I just didn't space out my eating properly, and actually, there was a gentleman that I follow on YouTube. His name is Coach Greg. Highly recommend. He's he's a YouTube personality, but the guy, he's from Halifax, just brilliant and in your face type of thing. My friend Ryan, Pastor Dave's son, got me onto him. Anyway, I won't be able to do this justice, but he's basically like, if you did, for instance, if you do intermittent fasting and you don't eat until maybe like 12 or 1, and you haven't eaten since the day before, there's actually like biological stuff taking place where you're going to want to binge eat. There's something happening where when you do sit down, you're going to eat more than you need because your body thinks you just need all of that. When if you just spaced out your eating with smaller portions, you'd be full throughout the day and wouldn't go crazy.
Are you playing yourself out?
That was weird. Sorry, I guess we've come to the end of our podcast. How is that possible? Anyway, so today was that. I got hit hard with whatever I forget what it was called or what it's called, and like just within an hour of eating
food madness.
Within an hour of eating my main meal, I then went and like fried up scallops and ate those. And anyway, Lucas, let's why don't we do your best and the rest, and then let's get out of here. Or do you want to just leave it as our catch up, just that conversation?
I feel like this feels like a catch up episode to me, and I think that way we can say that. I want to hear what Andrew's response to my question is as well.
Yeah, I agree. What did you put in here when Brad saw only one set of van tracks in the sand? Oh, you're funny.
I try to.
I'm so glad you're the funny one. Oh my goodness. Settle down, everyone. It's the chip in his arm. Thanks for that.
Getting things started.
Oh my word. Well, next week.
Well, one last comment though. One thing that's crazy to me is like, I got vaccinated 3 weeks ago. You just got vaccinated. Like, I'm already starting to see people getting double vaccinated, and that's kind of exciting to me too. Because I actually saw a couple people who've gotten double vaccinated, but it's because like they got early vaccinated and then they were kicking around while they had extra doses and went and got vaccinated, because no one our age is like eligible yet for the second dose, I don't think. But anyway, it's cool to see some people are making it happen.
What are you gonna do? What's the first thing you're gonna do once you're double vaccinated?
Well, actually, I guess double vaccination doesn't mean anything in New Brunswick. Once everyone's gotten to one dose, once 75% have gotten to one dose, they've already laid out for New Brunswick all the steps. And the first one is, which we were supposed to hit today, but we didn't hit it, was when you get to 75% of first dose for everyone 12 and up, basically means no more family bubble. Like, you're allowed to get together with people that aren't, there's like 20 people indoors and however many you want outdoors and all this stuff. So that's cool. So you could start seeing more people and stuff. So that'll be cool to do. And then it releases, and over the summer, basically get to green, which is just like free for all. Do what you want. Mm-hmm. Sneeze over everybody. Whoever you want to sneeze on them.
Yeah, sneeze free.
Yeah.
Listen, I think Dwight actually is onto something here. This might be the reason why Dwight has started watching the podcast, was to give us this idea. I think this is a t-shirt. If this is not I'm writing this down. Van in the Sand Prince.
Van in the Sand. It sounds like a Weezer song.
It does.
No, I'm thinking of Island in the Sun. That's right.
Van in the Sand t-shirt.
There you go.
Hold on. I got to make sure we get this. Only one set of van tracks in the sand. Jesus was taking the wheel. Oh,
that was fun to mix the metaphors.
What you really did. I think by the end,
and I was just about to hit enter, and you're like, and then in Kamloops, and I was like, oh, gonna have to put that one on hold for a while. Anyway, that one was in the chamber till a respectful time had passed.
Thank you.
Anyhow, yes.
I think our plan for PEI is by like September to be back to whatever normal is, like no masks, no. I think social distancing takes, you don't have to.
Yeah,
but there are markers that have to be met, like you guys, and I could be off on that timeline. I have it all right beside me, but anyway.
One question for you, and maybe I shouldn't do it live on air, but a question. I have been told that anyone visiting the island is going to have to get a swab up the nose. Is that true this summer? Because I need to know if I need to cancel my reservations or not, because that is a deal breaker for me.
Anybody in chat?
They're super vague on all the official websites, and I think they're just hoping to be like, "Oh, you're here with all your tourist money, great. Oh, just one last thing, wham!" and it hits you in the nose, and you're like, "Ah, I'm already here. They got my money." That sort of thing. Like, or you can pay your $50 and go back home and not get the nose jab.
I know the plan, or I believe the plan is to have testing sites right at the bridge. I suppose you could come via helicopter. Or by boat. I'm looking to see if anybody in chat from the island knows the answer to this. So here's what,
and it might have something to do with your levels too, and maybe our levels. I don't know.
It looked to me, Lucas, that when
yes, everyone will be tested. All right,
there we
go. Well, Prince Edward Island, I'll see you summer 2023. Let's put it that way.
Proposed for June 27th, there will be no self-isolation requirement for fully or partially vaccinated travelers from the Atlantic provinces.
Thank you, Krista.
With testing. When were you planning to come?
Testing.
When were you planning?
I was going to be like early July, so it's not going to make it. So
proposed for August.
It's fine.
8th.
I'll just go to Murray Beach. It's the PEI of New Brunswick.
No,
because it's across the water.
I wanted to get you here July 1st so you could help us move.
That's right. Yeah.
I need to email my MPs.
Email my MP. That's right. Maybe he'll just show up to help you move.
Yeah.
I got this one, Brad.
Oh dear. All right. Well, you know what, Lucas? I'm gonna just take us out of here. Are you good with that?
Take us out.
Listen, folks, this episode has been something else. It's been a long time since Lucas and I just talked, and you know what? It was kind of nice.
It was kind of nice.
That's
what we don't love Andrew. Andrew, we love you.
Andrew, we miss you. I hope the kids are okay, man. And that is the truth. But folks, thank you for spending the last 40-some minutes with us. And, as always, don't forget to like and share the podcast. We'd very much appreciate that. You can always check out our website, OxfordHolyClub.com. And so, folks, until next time, keep spiritually fit and have fun.